You might think your dog is just being picky about people, but science reveals something far deeper. Dogs can sense a bad person in ways no human ever could. And once you discover how they do it, you'll never look at your dog's behavior the same way again. Stick with me till the very end, because you're about to uncover the hidden signals that reveal who your dog truly trusts, who he secretly judges when you're not watching, and the surprising ways he may already be protecting you from dangers you can't even see. Let's start with, what did scientists discover about dogs that nobody expected? Scientists at Kyoto University in Japan decided to test something that dog owners have suspected for centuries. They wanted to know, can dogs really detect bad people? What they discovered left the entire scientific community speechless. Here's how they did it. They gathered 34 dogs and their owners for what seemed like a simple pointing game. First, the owners would point to a container with delicious treats inside, and naturally, the dogs would run straight to it. Easy enough, right? But then, and this is where it gets interesting, the scientists instructed the owners to lie. They had them point to an empty container, tricking their own dogs. The dogs ran to the container, found nothing, and you could practically see the disappointment in their eyes. Now here's the part that will blow your mind. When the owners pointed to containers again for the third time, even though there were actually treats inside, every single dog refused to follow the pointing gesture. Not 30 out of 34, not most of them. All 34 dogs completely ignored their owner's instructions. Think about what just happened here. These dogs, who have been bred for thousands of years to trust and obey humans, decided to stop believing their own owners after being lied to just once. They remembered, they learned, and they chose not to trust someone who had deceived them. Dr. Akiko Takaoka, who led this groundbreaking study, published in Animal Cognition Journal in March 2015, concluded that dogs use their previous experiences to determine if a person is trustworthy. But this was just the beginning of understanding how sophisticated our canine companions really are. Is your dog secretly judging your friends? But wait, it gets even more incredible. The same team of researchers conducted another experiment that revealed something so remarkable about dogs that it makes you wonder if they understand human social dynamics better than we do. Here's what they did. Dog owners were instructed to ask strangers for help with a simple task: opening a tightly sealed container. The researchers divided the strangers into 3 groups. The first group was told to be helpful and kind, immediately offering assistance with a smile. The second group was instructed to remain neutral, not rude, but not particularly helpful either. The third group? They were told to be outright mean and dismissive, refusing to help in the rudest way possible. After watching these interactions, the strangers tried to offer treats to the dogs. Now, you'd think any dog would happily accept a free treat, right? Wrong. The results were absolutely stunning. The dogs consistently refused treats from the people who had been mean to their owners. They didn't just hesitate, they completely ignored these people as if they didn't exist. Meanwhile, they happily accepted treats from those who had been kind and helpful. Even the neutral group got better treatment than the mean ones. This means your dog is constantly evaluating how other people treat you and making decisions about those people based on their behavior toward you. They're like your personal social detective, taking mental notes on everyone in your life. How dogs know when someone is lying now? You might be wondering, how is this even possible? How can dogs be so good at reading people and situations? The answer lies in their incredible sensory abilities and emotional intelligence that far surpasses what most people realize. Dogs have what scientists call social eavesdropping abilities. This means they're constantly monitoring the social interactions around them and forming judgments based on what they observe. When your dog sees someone being rude or dismissive toward you, they're not just witnessing an interaction. They're making a calculated assessment about that person's character. But here's where it gets really fascinating. Dogs don't just rely on what they see. They're using their incredible sense of smell to detect things about people that we can't even imagine. When someone is being deceptive or has bad intentions, their body chemistry actually changes. They might start sweating more, their adrenaline levels spike, and they begin releasing different pheromones. Your dog's nose is somewhere between 10,000 to 100,000 times more sensitive than yours. To put this in perspective, if you can smell a teaspoon of sugar dissolved in your coffee, your dog could detect that same amount of sugar dissolved in 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools. With that kind of sensory power, they can literally smell when someone is nervous, lying, or has bad intentions. Can dogs really smell fear? There's an old saying that goes, "Dogs can smell fear," and most people dismiss it as just folklore. But research conducted at Liverpool University proved this isn't just an old wives' tale, it's scientific fact. In a comprehensive study of 694 people, researchers found a direct correlation between a person's emotional state and their likelihood of being bitten by a dog. People who were confident and emotionally stable were rarely bitten, while those who showed anxiety and fear around dogs were significantly more likely to have negative encounters. Here's what's happening on a biological level. When you're afraid, your body goes into fight or flight mode. Your heart rate increases, you start sweating, adrenaline floods your system, and you begin releasing stress pheromones. All of these changes create a distinct chemical signature that dogs can detect from a considerable distance. But it's not just fear they can smell. Dogs can detect a whole range of emotions through scent. Anger, sadness, excitement, nervousness. Each emotion creates its own unique chemical cocktail that your dog's super sensitive nose can identify and interpret. Do dogs really understand your face? Scientists at the Messerli Research Institute in Vienna conducted a groundbreaking experiment that proved dogs can actually learn to recognize and interpret human facial expressions. Using a touchscreen setup, they showed dogs pictures of human faces displaying either happy or sad emotions. Half the dogs were trained to touch happy faces with their noses to receive treats, while the other half were rewarded for selecting sad faces. After sufficient training, the dogs were shown faces of completely new people they had never seen before. The results were remarkable. They could still accurately distinguish between happy and sad expressions, even on unfamiliar faces. But here's the most interesting part. Before any training began, the dogs showed a natural aversion to touching angry faces on the screen. This suggests that dogs have an innate understanding of human emotional expressions and instinctively know that angry faces represent potential danger. Think about what this means for your daily life. Your dog isn't just looking at people. They're reading their faces, analyzing their expressions, and making judgments about their emotional state and intentions. When your dog acts uncomfortable around someone who's smiling and being friendly, they might be picking up on micro-expressions or subtle facial cues that you're missing entirely. Will your dog remember you forever? One of the most heartwarming discoveries about dogs is their ability to remember their owner's scent forever. Studies have shown that dogs don't just remember how you smell, they remember the emotions associated with you and can recall these feelings for their entire lifetime. When a dog encounters their owner's scent, specific regions of their brain light up. The same pleasure centers that activate in humans when they smell something associated with a loved one. This means that even if you've been away for years, even if your appearance has changed dramatically, your dog will remember you based on your unique scent signature. But this memory extends beyond just owners. Dogs remember the scents of people who have been kind to them and those who have been mean. They create a mental database of every person they encounter, complete with emotional associations and behavioral predictions. How dogs know danger. Before you do, your dog's ability to read body language is so sophisticated that they often know when someone is a threat before you do. Dogs communicate primarily through body language with other dogs, and they apply these same reading skills to humans. They can detect subtle changes in posture, muscle tension, and movement patterns that indicate aggression, nervousness, or deception. A person might be saying all the right things and putting on a friendly facade, but if their body language suggests otherwise, your dog will pick up on it immediately. This is why dogs sometimes bark at people who seem perfectly nice to you. They're seeing micro-expressions, detecting stress hormones, or noticing body language cues that your conscious mind isn't processing. In many cases, time proves the dog was right all along. Can dogs detect cancer and save your life? Perhaps the most incredible ability dogs possess is their capacity to detect serious medical conditions in humans. This isn't just anecdotal evidence from devoted pet owners. It's backed by rigorous scientific research. Dogs can detect various types of cancer by smell alone. Cancer cells produce distinct odors that healthy cells don't emit, and dogs can identify these scents even in the earliest stages of the disease. The University of California, Davis conducted studies showing that dogs can accurately identify cancer-affected tissues from dozens of samples. There's an organization in the UK called Medical Detection Dogs that trains canines to analyze urine samples for cancer detection. The organization's CEO actually owes her life to her Labrador, who kept staring at and lunging toward her chest. This behavior led to the early detection of breast cancer, which was successfully treated because it was caught so early. But cancer detection is just the beginning. Dogs can also predict epileptic seizures and diabetic episodes. For people with diabetes, maintaining proper blood sugar levels is literally a matter of life and death. When blood sugar drops to dangerous levels, it produces specific chemical changes that alter a person's breath and skin scent. Trained diabetic alert dogs can detect these changes and warn their owners before a potentially fatal episode occurs. The organization Dogs for Diabetics has been training dogs for this purpose since 2004, and their success rate is remarkable. These dogs don't just detect problems, they're trained to take action, including retrieving phones, fetching medication, or even providing physical support during medical episodes. Why your dog hates some people. Now let's address something every dog owner has experienced. Your dog loves some people instantly, but seems to despise others for no apparent reason. There's actually a very logical explanation for this seemingly random behavior. Dogs are incredibly sensitive to the subtle signals you unconsciously send about the people in your life. Even when you're being polite and friendly to someone you don't fully trust, your body language, scent, and micro-expressions change in ways you're not aware of, but your dog absolutely notices. If you're subconsciously uncomfortable around someone, you might tense up slightly, your breathing might change, or you might release stress hormones. Your dog picks up on all these signals and interprets them as warnings about that person. Additionally, dogs form associations based on their experiences. If your dog had a negative encounter with a tall man wearing a baseball cap, they might be wary of all tall men in baseball caps. This isn't prejudice. It's survival instinct based on pattern recognition. What your dog really thinks about your family. Understanding your dog's behavior also requires understanding pack dynamics. In your dog's mind, you and your family are their pack, and they have an instinctive drive to protect the pack from threats. When your dog acts aggressively towards someone, they might not be reacting to that person specifically. They could be responding to perceived threats to pack safety. This protection instinct is so strong that dogs will often put themselves in danger to defend their human family members. This pack mentality also explains why dogs are so good at reading the social dynamics between family members. They pay attention to who gets along with whom, who has conflicts, and who might need protection or support. Are dogs smarter than we think? What all this research reveals is that dogs possess a level of emotional and social intelligence that rivals and sometimes surpasses our own. They're not just responding to training or acting on instinct. They're making complex judgments, forming memories, and adapting their behavior based on sophisticated analysis of social situations. Your dog is constantly gathering information about the world around them, processing that information, and making decisions based on their analysis. They're evaluating the trustworthiness of strangers, monitoring your emotional state, watching for signs of illness or distress, and always staying alert for potential threats to their beloved pack. Should you trust your dog's judgment? So the next time your dog acts strangely around someone, pay attention. Don't dismiss their behavior as random or meaningless. Consider the possibility that they're picking up on something you've missed. If your usually friendly dog suddenly becomes aggressive or fearful around a particular person, take it seriously. Your dog might be detecting something about that person's intentions, emotional state, or past behavior that isn't immediately obvious to you. This doesn't mean you should let your dog make all your social decisions, but their reactions can serve as valuable additional information when you're evaluating the people in your life. How to make your dog even smarter. Understanding your dog's natural abilities also opens up possibilities for enhancing them through training. While not every dog needs to be a medical detection dog or security animal, you can work with your dog's natural instincts to improve their ability to help and protect you. Basic obedience training becomes even more important when you realize how much your dog is trying to communicate with you about the world around them. Teaching your dog to respond to commands and express themselves appropriately ensures that you don't miss important warnings they might be trying to give you. What's next for dogs and humans? As our understanding of canine abilities continues to grow, we're discovering new ways that dogs can help humans beyond traditional roles as pets and working animals. From medical detection to therapy work to security applications, dogs are proving to be invaluable partners in ways we never imagined. Research continues into expanding dogs' roles in healthcare, including detecting COVID-19, Parkinson's disease, and other conditions. Scientists are also exploring how dogs might help in psychological therapy, autism support, and other areas where their emotional sensitivity and social intelligence could be beneficial. The truth about your dog. Your dog is far more than a pet. They're a sophisticated social analyst, medical detector, bodyguard, and emotional support system, all wrapped up in a furry package. They're constantly working to keep you safe, healthy, and happy, using abilities that science is only beginning to understand and appreciate. The next time your dog greets you at the door with obvious joy, remember that they're not just happy to see you. They're conducting a quick health check, emotional assessment, and security evaluation all at the same time. They're making sure you're okay, checking for any changes in your scent or behavior, and preparing to respond to whatever you might need. When your dog curls up next to you on the couch, they're not just seeking warmth and comfort, they're providing security, emotional support, and companionship while staying alert for any signs that you might need help or protection. So the next time someone asks you what makes dogs so special, you'll know the answer. They're not just man's best friend, they're our partners in navigating the complex, sometimes dangerous world around us. They're using abilities we're only beginning to understand to keep us safe, healthy, and loved every single day. And that, my friends, is why dogs truly are incredible creatures worthy of our respect, appreciation, and love. They're not just pets, they're family members who happen to have superpowers that they use entirely for our benefit. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced your dog acting strangely around someone who later turned out to be trouble? Or has your dog ever detected a health problem before you knew you had one? Share your stories because every dog owner has at least one tale of their canine companion's incredible abilities. Your dog might just be a superhero in disguise, and you're only now beginning to realize it.